Today on the show, we often cover issues related to labor. However, today we will be going into something that has some intersections related to labor, which is about youth mentorship. So in our communities, the need for youth mentorship is increasingly recognized as crucial for their development and success, as it provides guidance, support, and opportunities for growth, helping young individuals navigate challenges and make informed decisions and unlock their full potential. One organization that's at the forefront of this effort is MOT. Here to enlighten us on MOT initiatives is the country director, Viola Manuel. Viola, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm fine, Nadia. Thank you, and welcome. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and of course, just a good afternoon to all the listeners as well.
Thank you. So let's get into it with the first question. Can you provide us with an overview of what is MOT and how it aims to address societal challenges?
Okay, so Nadia, I'm going to take 2 steps back and actually tell you what MOT means.
Yes.
It's a Norwegian word, and the word means courage. And the reason it's a Norwegian word is because MOT actually started out in Norway, a very, very I want to say like calm country with very few social issues. And suddenly in Norway, they found themselves dealing with issues at schools like bullying and exclusion, etc. And what then happened was Atle Wenche, who is Olympian, decided to get together with some of his friends and actually start looking at what was causing these behavioral issues. Out of that, he birthed MOT, and of course, MOT South Africa is one of the countries that are part of this international MOT network. And when you talk about it and you talk about how do we address social challenges, the main thing that MOT does is we provide values. We've come back to bringing values, and the values we focus on is the courage to care, the courage to live, and the courage to say no. And we must recognize that in South Africa, as adults, we've actually done quite a bit to destroy values-based and value systems within for our young people. And when I say that, what I mean is we used to have homes with moms and dads in it. We're talking about values, etc. And as time has progressed, moms and dads are working a lot longer, much longer hours. We've got more single-headed households, single-parent-headed households. We've got child-headed households. And so just the struggle to survive, and the struggle is so real, has unfortunately sacrificed a lot of those sort of values-based conversations that we used to have in our homes, and we don't have those conversations. So MOT looks to build up those values and actually talks through that. What we also speak about at MOT is this the impact of the program is to build this level of mental strength and mental resilience, which is what I think all of us need, but specifically our youth need it. When you start looking at stats around attempted suicide, bullying, and all those kinds of issues you find at schools and colleges. And that's what MOT looks to do in terms of addressing those societal challenges.
Oh, wow, that's so important. I think, many programs look at, academic mentorship specifically or, career mentorship, but I think not a lot of them address also the sort of mental struggles
Correct.
that students go through on a daily basis. So that's so important. So how does MOT exactly promote these safe and inclusive environments in classrooms and communities?
Okay, so that's a great question. We actually work with schools, we work with TVET colleges, we work with other NGOs, we work with social workers, everybody that would be willing to actually take this message of courage to our young people and to others. And so the way we do it is when we work with a school or we work with a college or we work with other NGOs, we would actually train up educators or social workers or basically caregivers in that space. And so when we work with educators, we find very specific educators because, we have this notion that every educator in every school is like not present, not interested, not doing good by kids. But I want to say to you, our experience has been a little different. We have some amazing educators in our schools and colleges who are so committed to the youth and want to just create an environment that's safe and inclusive and better for young people. So these educators are the educators we find. We go through a very selective process to make them MOT coaches. And that's how we actually go into this whole space. We actually train up educators in schools to be MOT coaches, and the MOT coaches are the ones that deliver the training. So because they understand the nuances of the school, and the most important thing is that MOT coach is in that school all the time and acts as a role model to those kids of those values. And so although the kid might be in a child-headed household or might not see mom or dad at home, they've got a role model at school that's willing to chat to them and spend some time with them, and has this new language called this courage language, which is going to talk to them about building up that mental resilience, which is so important. And I agree with you. Here's the thing that we're finding out, and if you go to our website, you'll see the research we've done, is if you build mental strength and you build mental resilience, academics improve. Mm-hmm. Discipline at school improves. Everything seems to improve, because we understand that very often kids who struggle mentally or sit with insecurities, are not confident, kids who are really struggling with being excluded, those are the kids that actually end up creating some of the discipline problems we have in schools. Mm-hmm. Those are the kids who end up fighting. Those are the kids who end up being what we would want to the kids we are concerned about, or we label problem children. Very often it's because they don't have that mental resilience and strength that they need. So this is the program that does that for them.
No, that's definitely so important. You were saying about these kids often get labeled as basically being like bad kids, you know, bad apples. And it's like, it's a lot deeper than that, you know. Yes. There's more, you know, things that influence the way that children especially act. But yeah, so I'm also curious if you could go more in detail about how exactly, or if you could give some examples of the programs and initiatives offered by MOT to empower the educators and social workers and youth coaches that lead your programs. Okay,
great stuff. So we're very excited. Last year we actually, on an international platform, revisited our program that we offer at high school. And what we were excited about is that we were able to upgrade it and actually become a lot more innovative with how we delivered it. And we've also added other modules like digital inclusion and things like that. So it's a very, very sort of on the cutting edge of what kids need. We've had lots of psychologists and social workers sitting with our material saying, you know, we would change it here, we would change it there. So we know that the material is amazing. What we then do is we actually go into a school and train up the educators, as I said, and very often you've got some of the support staff. You might have a social worker or a administrator who's just got that extra passion and love for youth and wants to also be involved. So we would train them. We take them, train them over a weekend and then show them how the program needs to be delivered, because Nadia, here's the magic. The program is delivered in such a way that it includes all kids. Doesn't matter if you've got mental disabilities, physical disabilities, you've got learning challenges. The way the program is delivered is because it's through experiential learning, games, having fun, discussions, and the way the program is actually delivered, everybody feels that they can and want to make a contribution. So our educators would actually then go in, create an implementation plan at the end of their training session, and that implementation plan will then say, how is this program going to be delivered to more and more of our kids? So in year 1 with the school, typically we'll work with grade 8 first. Year 2 we work with grade 8, grade 9, and in year 3 we work with grade 8, grade 9, and grade 10, which is part of a sustainability model, because what that means, Nadia, is you've got your critical mass of kids have now gone through the MOT program or are MOT youth, and your critical mass of educators are MOT coaches. And so it just changes the culture of the school. You have kids greeting each other. You have kids who are a lot more patient with each other. And we just launched our impact, just talking about the impact of our program. And it talks about how these educators, we're focusing on the educators now and the social workers, but how I think it was 98% of them said that they could actually take what they learned at MOT and they were implementing it in their homes.
Wow. Yeah. That's so impressive. That's incredible.
That is so cool. I absolutely loved that stat when I saw it, because what it means is MOT whole discussion around being a community builder and a society builder, there's the evidence of it.
Yeah, like it starts as a seed, but then it becomes a sort of environment and the culture of a place, and that influences everyone.
Absolutely.
That's so incredible. You don't see many things that have that, like, trickle-down effect, that's so measurable. But I want to go into more specifics about, you were talking about some of the values, being like a sense of responsibility and self-confidence.
Correct.
So what are the sort of trainings and practices that students actually do to help them build these values?
So there's quite a few activities. I also need to say that the program is run over, it's It's 14 sessions and it's run over 3 years. So we run the 14 sessions over 3 years because it's very important for us that the kids actually get a chance to, together with their role model, something I neglected to say is that the program's also introduced to the parents. The program's also introduced to the community outside of the school or around the school.
Very important.
So you've got this whole sort of 360-degree discussion happening around the MOT program. And so when we talk about how do we actually get these values across to the kids, they're not overwhelmed by it. They do about 90 minutes every, I would say, 6 weeks of the program, because it gives them a chance to really internalize what we're talking about and start to see how it impacts on their peers, how's it impacting on my educator standing in front of me, etc., etc. So when we talk about how we can take that, how do we actually drill that down? The way we do it is we make sure that the program, the methodology of the program is something that can reach as many kids as possible. And of course, also just working together with that whole discussion. So, that whole network of people having that discussion around MOT and its impact on what we're hoping to achieve.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much. And then, okay, so here's these positive values that you're helping kids to establish, but, there's also a lot of problems within schools. So how does MOT prevent problems like exclusion, bullying, and even some more intense ones like violence or substance abuse that often occur among youth?
Yes, those are very real problems. They're very real problems for our educators to deal with. And I think that's what I think educators find the most draining, is that you're not just trying to assist them academically, you have to deal with all these social issues. But I'm going to come back to one of my previous statements, and that is if you can build strong mental health and mental resilience and start having discussions with kids that allow you to see that whole person, which is one of the principles of MOT, actually see that whole person and not just see this kid who comes to school, who's late, who's never tidy, who's never got their homework. Once you start having these MOT sessions and you start having conversations with that child about why is it that that's what I get to see, that child, through the sessions help that child open up to let you see a little more and glimpse a little more into that child's life. Now, when you've got a program that's building mental resilience, you've got a program that's saying to the educator, be more patient, be more present, be more willing to help, be more willing to see the whole person. You've got that kind of magic happening in a classroom, then the issues that we're dealing with, like exclusion, bullying, violence, fighting, all those discipline issues, actually become less and less. And at our program that we did, our presentation of the report, and I'm going to encourage the listeners to please go and read this report on the MOT website. It really spoke about how the MOT program was having a direct impact on actually lessening these issues in schools. We had Mr. Tommy, who's the principal of Gardens Commercial, saying that, and none of us are expecting it to only be the MOT program, but he said the MOT program had a huge contribution to making this year's grade 8s, grade 9s, and grade 10s probably some of the best behaved grade 8s, grade 9s, and grade 10s that he's had. The same thing that we're finding with the other schools where we're working. Everybody's saying to us there's a definite impact on the culture of the school. We had the Hello campaign where we worked with one of our other NGOs, and they were talking about how the culture had changed with people just greeting each other. There was more conversation, more people were engaging with each other. So what we have, Nadia, is we have those values running, we have the sessions running, we've got the educators doing the sessions, we've got parents briefed, we've got the community briefed, and then we have something that we call our reinforcement days, and these reinforcement campaigns that just reinforce these values. So at the beginning of the year, we had the Hello campaign. We were under the banner of Courage to Care. We were just getting kids to greet each other and greet. And it was fantastic to get the feedback that said that hello, because it's really a poster that just has the word hello on it, and it makes people understand that when you say hello, you do more than just greet somebody, you're actually acknowledging that person. And those hellos ended up into conversations with people that they'd never spoken to before. So we've got that, we've got the Courage to Care campaign, we've got the Courage to Say No walk. There's so many reinforcement activities to reinforce these values, and those activities usually happen within the community, in the school, in the college.
So you really attack from, or let me not use that terminology, but you really find the source and the root. It's like addressing the issues that cause these problems, which are sort of manifestations from this source. And if you can get to the source, then those issues will subside on their own.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's really interesting. And I love to see also that you have some tangible outcomes,
Correct.
Of like how exactly this is working. But yeah, so how does MOT collaborate with educational institutions, municipalities, and other partners to reach a wide audience?
Okay, so this is the thing that I need to be very clear on, is that as much as we know that so many of the youth need this program, for us it's not a numbers game. It's a quality game. It's an implementation with passion and purpose. It's a space where we're saying, you need to commit. We're not going to come in with the sort of wham bam kind of thing. It's really a commitment to work with these youth at a pace that makes sense. And so when we start working with municipalities and communities and everybody else involved in working in this program, we make them understand that it requires a huge commitment from you in terms of your time, in terms of your space, in terms of changing the way you engage with youth. Because you're now asking them to talk to you, and you have to accept that responsibility also carries a lot with it. And so the way we actually just work with these individuals and the municipalities is to explain what it is that MOT does, explain the impact of what we're doing, and then get them to buy into it and get them on board as quickly as we can. But understanding that these are sort of the guidelines that we share with them way before we get involved, so that they know exactly what they're signing up for.
Definitely. Yeah. That's important. You don't want to recruit anyone who will later almost regret. Then it's not it won't work, because everyone has to be involved in the spirit of it.
Correct, Nadia. I think it's not, and I know, it's not about, it's making sure everybody understands that in order for us to change the path or influence the path that our youth are taking, it requires commitment.
Yeah.
We cannot be we cannot be part of the thumb tribe, or just be these keyboard warriors that talk about what the problems are and philosophize about what the solution should be, or spend time theorizing about what the solution should be. That's all incredibly important. But boots on the ground, working with the youth and giving our educators the material that they need to actually be able to change that environment, that's where the magic lies.
Wow. Wonderful. And finally, closing out, it is almost time to have the news report at 1:00. So how can individuals, schools, and communities, and of course our audience, our listeners, get involved in supporting the work of MOT and empowering youth to address these social challenges?
I think first of all, follow us on our socials. With South Africa written out in full. Follow us on our socials, comment, get involved, let us know how you feel about what you're seeing and what you're witnessing on our socials. And then, of course, you can contact us on info@mot.org.za. So it's info, info at mot.org.za. Or you can actually go onto our website, www.mut.org.za. And then just find, there's so many platforms where you can engage with us, and just drop us a message and say, I'd love to be part of it. I'd love to chat. Let me speak to you. And then we'll take it from there.
Wonderful. Any last words?
Nadia, just thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you to the listeners who are listening. I think it's so important for us. When MOT started, it started with Atle being encouraged by one of his role models, his heroes, just telling him, look, I wish you everything of the best. And just those words were so encouraging to him and motivated him. And so when we see our young people, encourage them, motivate them, speak to them, spend time with them. I always say older people, who are listening in need to find the time to start speaking to our youth. And yes, I know it's a hard task, because sometimes the youth are not open to listening, but continue to just talk and be role models to them and be examples of just the way we should live. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thanks so much, Nadia. Bye-bye.
So once again, that was Viola Manuel with MOT, an initiative that focuses on empowering youth to address, daily social challenges that really impact their long term and their success. So thank you so much. And also, this will take us into the 1 o'clock news. So to take us into that, we will be listening to some tunes by Timo featuring Sarah Jackson. So please enjoy that.